Move again and back with another video, and man, I had to put my foot in my mouth, man. So the video I just released about the Benq monitor, my thoughts of the monitor still the same. I like it, but I noticed something about the Xbox Series X, a feature related, that I just figured out. And shout out, I can't do this video without giving like a proper shout out to I gotta go to Twitter and give him my DM, and give his DM shout out, Lil Ruff, Lilruff, for just put me on game. So I did a video about the Xbox Series X. There's probably there are games that aren't taking advantage of 120 hertz monitors if you are on a HDMI 2.0 display, and I was wrong. Actually, I was dead wrong. But this was like a little. I'm so used to playing my Series X on a CX, a TV where it's allowing 4K at 120, so I don't need to really change much of anything to play a game at 120 frames per second. I don't have to go into the settings. My TV is just set. The Series X is just set to do 4K at 120. So if the game's gonna run at 120, it's just gonna run at 120. Sometimes they'll offer a mode to switch it between performance and resolution mode, and but I don't have to do anything in the Xbox settings. Now, moving over to the monitor, I actually have to do that because the thing is it's because of the HDMI 2.0 setting, and the fact that there are games like, if I'm allowing 4K, so pretty much you have to go into your settings and uncheck allow 4K. Because if you're allowing 4K, that sort of overrides everything. If you're allowing 4K, everything's going to default to like, okay, what's the settings at 4K? You're not going to get 120 frames at 120 frames at 4K. But the thing is, when you go into the resolution mode, this just changed your native display. This setting doesn't just say, okay, we're only going to display games at 1440p 120. This just because they know the Xbox is a native 4K box, right? But it has the option to do a native resolution of 720p, 1080p, 1440p, and 4K. It has that capability, and 120 hertz at 1080p or 1440p. But what kept stopping these games from hitting that 120 mark is because the system is still technically running it at its 4K setting, so the games will default to whatever mode, like pretty much default to its resolution mode. So I posted a video, I tweeted about it, and somebody hit me in a DM. Lil Ruff hit me in a DM. It's like, hey, you got to disable your allow 4K, and you should get, the game should correct its mode. But he thought that was just the case for Call of Duty. He's like, well, I know for Call of Duty you have to do this every time. And I'm like, you know what? I didn't try that. And so when I tried it, it worked. It disabled ray tracing, and it defaulted to 120 hertz, and I was able to play the game at 120 hertz. And then I was like, okay, all right, if his theories, if this is what it takes for it to happen for Call of Duty Black Ops on Cold War, now let's talk about the games like maybe Master Chief Collection. Master Chief is set 120 hertz mode, works based off your display setting. So if your display, as I say, is a regular 60 hertz display that it can't do on 20, the game is just going to be 4K 60. It's just going to be match the display. So now that I disabled 4K on the Xbox Series X, Halo Master Chief Collection now on this monitor is just 1440p 120 hertz. Of course, it's 4K super sampled to 1440p, but it's just 120 hertz. That's it. There's no option to go to 60. It's just 120 frames per second, and that's what I wanted because, like I said, I got this monitor to streaming multiplayer games where I'm in the competitive mode and I want to play like not really on my TV but on a monitor setting. I can deal with 1440p on a smaller screen, getting those higher frame rates and the response time and a VR and stuff like that. So that was a big deal to me. So I checked it, and the cool thing about this monitor, the Benq, it does have an FPS counter. Now it's not as as good as other FPS counters because it's not doing it live. I haven't figured out a way to keep it a live FPS counter, but what I can do at each moment, I'll hit the menu button, go check the frame rate, And whatever it is at that moment, it'll tell me whether it's like 116 frames or whatever. But the thing is that it's telling every time before when I was doing this video, the video when I discovered that, hey, damn, I'm not getting 120 on like half the games. It would tell me, oh, it's running at 60 hertz or 14 or at 4K 60 hertz. That's what it would tell me for almost all the games, with the exception of the few that I knew would read regardless of the resolution that I had. So then I elected to do Ori, which we're in the previous video. It told us that it could not detect 120 hertz. This time around, we will not get that message. I already tried it. I'm not expecting it to see it again. Hopefully this game doesn't freeze up on me. But let's see here. Remember the last time we booted this game from scratch, we got the message that said it does not detect 120 hertz, and it's going to default to 6K at 60 hertz. So let's hurry up and get through this. And I'm sorry I have to do back-to-back videos, but I could have just deleted the video and just tweeted, but I wanted to show you guys in motion because it's going to lead to something bigger. Start game. You see, there's no message. And I'm going to go to my options, right? My options, 4K at 120. It's already defaulted there. And it's... So we got, and like I said, we have Master Chief Collection. It should be on quick resume. I accidentally unplugged my Xbox Series X when I was switching the HDMI ports. And I was last playing Halo 2. It should boot me directly to Halo 2, maybe. Yes. And Anniversary Edition, this is 120 hertz. See, and the thing is, I know the difference, which I'm actually shocked I got to the point where I could tell the difference between such high frame rates and whatnot. So we got that. And Call of Duty obviously works, but I made it, like I said, I made a pretty much group for all the 120 frames per second games and to see what happens when I get there. And now all these games are able to, I'm able to see all this in motion. Let's see, like I know Minecraft Dungeons, which is also under quick resume. I'm going to check my output and see if it's giving me exactly what I'm looking for. And yes, 1440p by 120. It's so yeah, I'm happy. So now the reason why the video is a bit of a bigger deal now, right? The reason why it's a bit of a bigger deal now is because I was in the process of the monitor that I was gonna buy. I was gonna buy a 32-inch monitor that kind of had a little bit more spunk. It had, it was going to be a curved monitor, and I was like, man, I think that would be pretty. I might want to do that. It was a. I'm trying to think of a display. It wasn't an IPS display. It was a. Oh man, I think a TAN display or whatever. But I was thinking about that, and then I read the reviews because the issue I was having with my other monitor is people weren't able to get, 1440p at 120 hertz. And now that I'm thinking about this, I did not do the disable to allow 4K on any of the attempts. Matter of fact, actually on the Asus, I did somewhat. I did it in video mode. What I did was it disabled 4K regardless, but it would not let me do it at 1440p. So that's that. So because it couldn't do 120 hertz at 1440p for some reason over that monitor was weird. But I'm curious now of the monitor I was originally going to get, which was going to be pretty much the next step from this monitor that I currently have, and do the 1440p curve monitor and whatnot. It had, I think, 1 millisecond less of response time, or whatever. But I turned it down because of that particular reason, and I'm like, I don't want to go start buying a bunch of monitors and see how much how often this shit works. But if you're gaming on a monitor and if you're wondering why you're not getting what you need in terms of 1440p at 120, because we know the Series X can do it natively out of the box. There is some tricks. It's different with TVs and whatnot, but what you want to do is, once again, you're going to go into your settings. You're going to go to the TV display options, and you want to go to video modes, and you want to make sure this is unchecked. So when you unallow 4K, then this becomes, the 1440p becomes your new high cap and your standard default. And obviously it does 120 hertz at that in 1080p, and you're set to go. So any game that runs 120 hertz, regardless of resolution, it will default. Your monitor will register it. A lot of you guys probably like, man, I have it at 120 hertz, and you're thinking you're playing at 120, but you're actually not. If you're doing it on a monitor, this is the way to go until they put out the HDMI 2.1 monitors, which will then allow you to, it doesn't matter, you'll be at 4K 120, and you won't have to limit yourself to 1440p. Which that right now I was gonna just go opt out and be like, you know, F it, and buy a CX. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold on to this monitor, and what I'm gonna do is when the 2.1 monitors do come out, I'm going to buy that. I still might keep this one. I'm just probably gonna replace my original LG 60 hertz monitors, but yeah, I mean, because this is perfect for me, more than good enough. I'm good. I got no complaints. Matter of fact, I just ordered me 2 more HDMI 2.1 cords, so I can be okay in terms of having enough HDMI, proper HDMIs for when I'm running through a capture card, and from when I'm playing natively, because you don't want to have like an HDMI 2.1 cord, and for those who are doing capture cards, like if you use like an AverMedia card or Elgato HD60 or some shit like that, or HD 4K whatever, you want to have, for the Series X and PS5, you want to have all HDMI 2.1 cords, so you're not jipping yourself. Because with the AverMedia capture card, it pass through everything. The only thing you're not gonna get a pass through on is VRR, which, I mean, it's fine, but in terms of like, you know, HDR 120 hertz, don't worry about it. You'll get those frame rates. Even if you're only capturing at 60 hertz, you'll get those frame rates playing and whatnot. So so that's why I'm happy with, you know, the setup and whatnot. But hopefully, I apologize for the last video. It was I don't want to say it's misleading. I didn't have all the information that I needed. I got it now, and now I'm curious about other monitors that I might have had. Hopefully this video helps. You can get 120 hertz at 1440p on your monitor. Just make sure allow 4K is disabled, because you don't need 4K on a native 1440p display, because you're not going to get proper 4K on a native 1440p display. But I hope this video, I hope this video helped. If you have any questions, hit me up on my Twitter or in the comment section. I feel like an idiot. I feel like an idiot, but I'm happy. I can't complain. I am happy. So I hope I'm gonna just show you guys one more time what to do. You are going to go in your settings. You're gonna make sure that allow 4K is off. 1440p, 120 hertz. You're gonna get it. Now, the thing that people aren't going to like, because for some reason HDR gets connected to the 4K mode, so you're not going to get HDR at the but, and this is an HDR compatible monitor, so, which is weird. So you're not going to get HDR at, unless, let me make sure I'm not, yeah, you're not going to get HDR on the monitor, because I have those checks still. But for some reason it does not come through on these settings. But let me know your thoughts. Once again, apologize for the error.